Shalom. Praises or glory or honors going to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Kakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. There's another edition of GMS News and Prophecy. And I have an article here from indepthnews.net which says Ukraine war might trigger food riots in poor countries. It said some things about this topic before, but it's still a constant conversation among these different nations. All right, and this is dealing here in Africa. So now it says Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the head of the World Trade Organization, is warning that skyrocketing global food prices as a result of the war in Ukraine could trigger food riots from people going hungry in poor countries. WTO Director General Okonjo-Iweala urged food-producing countries against hoarding supplies and said it was vital to avoid a repeat of the pandemic, when rich countries were able to secure for themselves the bulk of the jump shot. In an interview with The Guardian of the UK, the WTO Director General noted the dependence of many African countries on food supplies from the Black Sea region. I think we should be very worried. The impact on food prices and hunger this year and next could be substantial. Food and energy are the two biggest items in the consumption baskets of poor people all over the world, Okonjo-Iweala said. It is poor countries and poor people within poor countries that will suffer the most. Okay, and it's becoming apparent that this is part of the major news that's being talked about around the world. I just put up a video about what Biden said was coming to the U.S., and now this is what they're talking about in Africa, right? And this is prophecy being fulfilled because this is what Yahweh Shai spoke about when he said that there were going to be famines in diverse places. Okay? In different places all over the world. This is Luke 21. Let's see, Luke 21:11. And great earthquakes shall be in diverse places, and famines, and pestilences, and fearful sights, and great signs shall there be from heaven. So, in different places, there's going to be famines. There's going to be food shortages, and there's going to be inflation and higher prices of things all over the world. And that's a reality of what's to come. Okay? Now I'm going to jump down to verse, let's see, 25. It says, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. All right, and I want to highlight the word distress of nations. Okay, all kinds of different calamities are coming to these different countries. Okay, food riots, protests, things like that. It's all a matter of time before these things come to a head. All right, so we have to prepare ourselves first in the mind and spirit against that day. All right, and do the necessary things of wisdom that we have to do to protect ourselves against these things happening. Okay, for example, like the apostles had mentioned about, some of us can invest in gold and silver. Not that that's going to save us, because it's definitely not going to deliver us. But just certain things are cushions, man, because a lot of brothers have, families and things like that. So we have to be prepared, okay? Now, ultimately, especially when you go into Job, the 5th chapter, which I'll get right now, is You know, when it comes down to these things happening, we prophesy and we speak on it. But really, Yahweh Shem Shai is going to protect us. Okay? This is Job 5:19. It says, He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles. Yea, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee. And that thee here is talking about the elect. All right, those are the elect. It says, in famine he shall redeem thee from death, and in war from the power of the sword. Okay, so when war comes upon our people, especially the persecution, the Lord's going to deliver us from these troubles. He's going to deliver us from the food shortages, the riots, and things like that. Why? Because we have the wisdom and knowledge of Yahweh Shem Shai to get us through. All right. It says, thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue, neither shalt thou be afraid of destruction when it cometh. All right. And a lot of brothers are going to get power. Now you got this guy, Vocab Malone, making mockery of the fact that brothers and GMS saying that we're going to get power. Well, the Lord said we're going to get power. The Lord said that when destruction comes, okay, we're not going to be afraid. Meanwhile, you got people out here getting judged and dropping like flies, man. All right? But what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to rely on Yahweh Shem Shai. Okay? It also says in Psalm 91 that it shall come, that thou shalt see 1,000 and 10,000 fall at thy right and left hand, but it shall not come nigh thee, nor thy dwelling. It says, but only with thy eyes shalt thou see. Okay? So we're seeing these things, but we're in fear of Yahweh Shem Shai bringing these calamities in the earth. But that's also what puts that spirit in us and that vigor in us to keep going, to do what he said to do. Okay, verse 21. It's like in verse 22, it says, at destruction and famine, thou shalt laugh. We're going to laugh in these times, man. Okay? Neither shalt thou be afraid of the beasts of the earth. Okay? So even though we have these things in front of us and they're coming, we're still going to be able to have some sort of comfort in these days through the Spirit of the Lord. Okay? Now going back to the article, and this is what they say in the world. It says in an interview with the Guardian of the UK, the WTO Director General noted the dependence of many African countries on food supplies from the Black Sea region. I think we should be very worried. The impact on food prices and hunger this year and next could be substantial. Food and energy are the 2 biggest items in the consumption baskets of poor people all over the world, Okonjo-Iweala said. It is poor countries and poor people within poor countries that will suffer the most. Let's see here. And talks about the jab. Now it says the last time rising food prices sparked food riots was between 2006 and 2008. Protests broke out in developing countries as prices in a wide range of food, oil, and other primary commodities increase in dramatic fashion, in some cases more than doubling within a few months. We're seeing it now. We're seeing gas price and other things double in 2 or 3 months. Policymakers were presented with the challenge of simultaneously addressing hunger, poverty, and political instability. In Africa, food riots swept across the continent, from Egypt and Tunisia in the north to Burkina Faso and Senegal in the west, and Madagascar and Mozambique in the south. The crisis reinforced the extent to which oil and food markets have become highly interdependent, meaning everything is interconnected with each other and they depend on each other. So if one country falls or something happens there, then that's going to happen and affect in the next country, like a domino. All right, like dominoes. It says, and highlighted the relative inability of national governments and the international community to adequately deal with dramatic surges in food prices. Okay, so this is the reality of things to come. All right, like I said, even here in the U.S., but the Lord is going to have the elect protected. So now I want to get one more scripture. All right, 2nd Ezra chapter 15. 2nd Ezra 15. Okay. and 16, it says, "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. For there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They should not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." And that's these riots and protests that are erupting all over the world now and in the coming few months. Okay? Because of the crisis that's happening. "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid." It's like the article read that, we should be worried. Well, we of the hopeful elect, we're not worried. Okay? Because like I read in Job the 5th chapter, the Lord is going to cause us to get through the famine. Verse 19, it says, "A man should have no pity upon his neighbor." And this is how bad it's going to get out here, man. All over the globe. It's going to get bad in these different countries. And that's the importance of me bringing this information out, because through prophecy, things have to happen this way. "A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods." Why are they going to invade houses and take goods and destroy people? "Because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation." All right. And this is also within the time of Jacob's trouble. And this is the time of Esau's trouble too, because he's being judged ultimately for being the wicked in the earth. And our people are going to be judged. Jacob, the Israelites, are going to be judged, those that are wicked, for following them. Following these other nations, man. Okay? So this is all, prophecy. It's all supposed to happen. And like Howard said, the end is not yet. Although it is the beginning of sorrows, those of the elect are going to rejoice, man. Okay? But with that, I want to end it there. All praises, all glory, all honors going to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua, by Hashem Kakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom.